Welcome to the Light and Shadow podcast. My name is JF, and today I'll talk to you about light and shadows. Light meaning love, and shadows meaning everything that's we don't like inside us. I have a quote to say first. It's easy to walk in the light, but a true master walks in shadows to illuminate the path for others. That's powerful. I started this podcast after healing from a traumatic event a few months ago. This is my truth as I see it. This is my life experience as I view it myself. This is something I really believe in because it worked for me. It's something that you already possess and just waiting for you to finally use it. Before I start, I want to make sure that people know that this is a safe zone. I want you guys to be safe while I'm talking. I don't want any hate or negative comments. This is about us. This is about talking. This is about figuring out what happened here. Because I see so much hate in the world, and I'm just tired of it. I'm just going to make sure my feed is going live first before I do anything else. I've had a bit of technical issues there all day, so let's see. Where's that? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Okay. All right. Where do I start? Okay. After a traumatic event about 2 months ago, I crumbled. I crumbled for a couple of days. Then I picked myself up and I was like, okay, that's enough. I'll stop doing that. This is not who you are. And I decided to educate myself. And I decided to find my truth. Make sense of a very, very bad situation. I took a good look around me. And by that I mean around the world. There's so much hate, greed. The darkness is taking over. It really is. And in that time when I was learning and when I was working on myself, I had a moment of clarity. I had a big moment of clarity. But before I tell you about that, I need to give you an overview of my life, of my trauma. Because if I'm going to preach the truth, then I have to be truthful with everyone. I have to make myself vulnerable and tell you about me. So here we go. And what I'm telling you is not my entire life story. It's just the stuff that relates to directly to the healing that I've been doing. And I think that what I'm doing right now is my purpose. I mean, I found a purpose in the darkness, and that's what I'm doing. I'm a person that people can figure out. I don't fit in any boxes. To say that I'm very unique would be putting it mildly. However, I know why now. This is something that's been plaguing me my entire life. I don't fit in any boxes. Anyway, so the following will show you why I am who I am and what I did to heal myself. All right, so I'm going to start in 2023 because in order for you guys to understand my childhood, you need to understand a couple of the disability that I was diagnosed with late in life. So in 2023, April 15, 2023, I took Vyvanse for the first time. And Vyvanse is a stimulant that they give you for ADHD. My ADHD was deemed severe, and it was affecting every single areas of my life, every one of them. You could talk to me and say something, and I'll say what, because I have an auditory delay. I didn't know that. I do now. And by the time you would repeat yourself, I'd be like, oh, I got it. Anyway, the first day that I took Vyvanse, April 15, 2023, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll never forget that. An hour after, around 9 o'clock, I was sitting down on my lazy boy watching the news or something. And all of a sudden, all the noise in my head, all the 99 tabs that were opened all the time were gone. Gone. Wow. That was the first change. The second very, very noticeable change was that when I went to bed that night and I woke up the next morning, the blankets weren't even touched or nothing. I didn't move. Now you have to understand something, that by the time I was 10, my mother had to sew the top of my mattress because I moved so much in bed when I was a child while I was sleeping that I actually wore out the top of the mattress. I am not kidding you. The other thing in that morning is that I woke up and I was rested for the first time in my life. I woke up rested. That's just two of the changes. There was 40 some odd changes that I took note of over the next few months. One of the biggest changes I had is that I didn't realize that I didn't know all of my emotions. My emotions were clumped in good, neutral, bad. And my reactions was never good to a lot of that stuff because I didn't understand my feelings. Now, I was 55 at the time, turning 56 that summer. Imagine, just imagine learning your feelings at 55. It was hard. I'm not gonna. It was hard, and to this day, I still learn. I was working on something last week. I don't remember what it was now. Oh, I was working on one of my childhood wounds, and I finally got it, and I was like, I'm so proud of myself. And for the first time in my life, I had the feeling to go with it. Like I felt it to go with the actual emotion. So I'm still learning. Let's see. People with ADHD people think that it's just like a problem with concentration. It's so much more than that. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It affects every areas of your life. It makes lives harder by far. And in my case, because it was diagnosed as severe. Yeah. Anyway, so I went through life for another year and a half, and there were still areas in my head that I couldn't reconcile with ADHD. So I went back to learning, and I went researching and talking to my therapist, and I decided to go and get tested for autism. And guess what? I'm autistic. So I am both. I'm autistic and I'm ADHD. They have a term now for it called ADHD, AUDHD. It's a combined thing. If you think one or the other makes life difficult, try having both. Wow. It's, yeah. And it explains so many things in my life. So many things. I made peace with that. And one of the things that the psychiatrist that I was seeing that did my testing, he highly encouraged me to start on mask because when you're autistic, you mask because you want to fit in because you don't fit in anywhere else. Yeah. And I also, that time when I unmasked, I also uh, decided to unmask completely. Meaning, I've always known there was a duality in me. Well, actually, there's several. There's ASD, there's ADHD, and I have what the First Nations used to call uh, two-spirit. I'm two-spirited, meaning I have both a male and female spirit inside of me. And that was a hard thing to admit, but admit I did. And now I take care of both sides of me. And I love it. It makes me feel good. It completes me. Anyway, so two-spirited people also in the First Nation hierarchy. They used to be healer, medicine person, conveyor of oral tradition, name givers, special role players, caregivers, and that's what I am very much. I'm a healer. Not that I have special power. I mean, I'm a healer by the fact that I help people and I help people heal, like just by the actions that I do, not laying a hands or whatever. Okay. So when I discovered that the two-spirit thing, that made me feel good about myself. So next, okay. So now that you know that I have both ASD and ADHD, by type, and it's gonna put everything in perspective when I talk about my childhood, which I'm about to now. So I was born in late July 1967. So that means I was a toddler, in the late 60s, early 70s. And I have memories of that. Not many, but I have memories of that. I have memories of me trying to get my parents' attention because I have so many things that I wanted to say. But it was always ignored because I was a difficult child. I was a child that ran away. I didn't run away. One day when I was 2, I took my tricycle and I went in the quest of go find my father at work. Now, my father's workplace was a couple of miles away. You had to cross a busy boulevard to get to it. And at the time, it was the biggest aluminum plant in the world. I think they had like 4,000 or 5,000 employees at one time. So here I go, tricycle. I made it. I actually made it. Without getting killed, I just made it. Anyway, they brought me back. The police were called. They brought me back home. My poor mother. What I'm trying to get at here is that I was always, because I was so active, so disturbing, so a lot of things, I was always ignored as a child. And this, when you don't have a voice as a child, that carries on with you in adulthood. And it's just not the voice. There was several other things too. It's hard to talk about that stuff sometimes, even though I did the work. Wounds are wounds, and it takes a while to fully accept them. When you have no voice, when you're misunderstood, when you're lonely, when you're often injured, which I was because I didn't know fear. When you're an autistic child, you don't fear stuff. You just go. And with my ADHD, I went face first or head first, whatever you want to call it. And I often got myself injured in hospital, whatever. Psychology tells us that when you're ignored by the person whose attention means the most to you, your reaction is almost like physical pain. That's powerful. Anyway, so that was my early childhood. That was, yeah, a handful. So much so, and after that, the tricycle incident, I had a leather harness that my mom would put on me, and with a line would cut me to the clothesline, and I would be able to go to and from the backyard, but that was it. And even earlier than that, my father used to tie me by a leg in the crib because I used to climb over the rails of the crib, close my eyes, and let myself drop on the floor and get back up and run in the middle of it. I was a hellion, for sure, a handful. Anyway, uh, by the time I was 5, no, I was after 5. Um, I'm going to relate another incident when I was 5 and in kindergarten. You know how the kids have nap time? Well, we did that too back then. And at the beginning of it, when we had that, it was so strange for me because I had 3 siblings at home and it was always chaos. It was always, when you have 3 young kids, that's just the way it is. And one time during that time, I started screaming. And the teacher came to me and says, "Why are you screaming?" I said, "Because it's too quiet." All the signs were there. The thing is that at that time, nobody knew that ASD level 1 or level 2, level 3. They knew like the bad case, but not the cases like there was a different name for that. Asperger? Asperger, yeah. Very, very intelligent, but like low level autistic. Anyway, by the time I was 8, I was brought into a neurosurgeon to get EEG done on my noggin, my brain. And of course, at the time, they didn't find anything wrong. I mean, whatever technology they had in the late 70s. And my parents were just told that I was just an active child. Yeah, very active. um, but the behavior problem kept going. And, I mean, the doctors were worried because I was always in the hospital with cuts, bruises, whatever. Anyway, and during that time, from 5 to 12, yeah, uh, I used to be bullied all the time, because I was different. I didn't know that. I was the weird kid. So I learned to defend myself early in life. I used to be in grade 2 fight kids from grade 5. Then again, I was a big kid too. But yeah, I never took any shit, and I never will. Um, by the time I was in junior high and high school, I still had bullies. But turning a teenager, I wanted to do better. So I used to carry my briefcase with me with my papers. And of course, kids and tease me for it. All the way up till grade 10, I believe, when one of my bullies followed me to my locker, making fun of my briefcase, and started punching me in the back. And that day, I put him in the hospital. And I regret that. But he pushed me. And that gave me an unhealthy coping mechanism as an adult. I had very few friends my entire time growing up because, again, I was the weird kid. Okay, and at 18, I joined the forces. I went in the Navy. Very different trade. We weren't going on ships. We were monitoring sonar station. That I enjoyed because when you have ASD, you have a very, very strong pattern recognition. And it came easy to me. And I was good at it. I loved it. Up until much later on when they switched us back to ship. But the thing is, in 1986, when I joined forces in camp, I had a 30-foot ball, and yeah, that was that messed up my feet, and actually I had surgery in 2017 and 2018 to fix that. So that was another big trauma right there. Also, I had a cane at 35. Guys out there, I don't know if you can relate, but when you're giving cane at 35, it hits your manly ego big time, and I struggled with that. Um, when we actually when the trades amalgamated and we went on ship to they operate the sonars and all that stuff. I was deployed to the Middle East in 2001. After the Twin Towers fell in New York, we were the first ship on station. And without saying anything else, just let's say that when I came back home, I had so. And this this pretty much destroyed my life from 2005 to 2015. I did shit I should have never done. I was so lost. I was nightmares all the time and hypervigilance, and it's just that was a hard time in my life. Very, very hard. In 2012, I divorced my wife after 20 years, and that created the big rift between everybody, my kids, everything. But in 2015, I finally got my PTSD under control because I started using cannabis instead of all the other bullshit drugs they were giving me. That made a huge difference. A huge difference. And I started recovering along with regular visit with my psychologist. Then in also 2015, I met what I thought was the love of my life. So, and then we're back here today in 2025, and August 14, she ghosted me, and I had started realizing before that my wife was a covert narcissist. So I suffered narcissistic abuse for about 7 years. This is going to take me a while to get over. There's one thing I want to say to that person about. I know that you suffer from a terrible, terrible mental health. And for that, I forgive you. I do. And I forgive you for me too, because I don't want to live with that in me. I'm here I want to talk about truth and love and all that. And I'd be a pretty big fucking hypocrite if I just chastise you online for stuff that you have a hard time controlling. But I hope that I showed you enough love that one day you will work on yourself. You can do it. I've researched it. Several people have done it. And when you work on yourself, if you're ever stuck in a dark place, just reach out and I'll walk alongside you in the dark, in friendship and in love. Oh, that's all I want to say about that. Maybe I'll do a session or another podcast way further down the road about narcissism, but right now that's too fresh. I also discovered when I was doing my work that my personality type. Do you know there's 16 different personality types? Sorry, guys. And Of course, I have the rarest one. I am INTJ, which stands for intuitive, thinking, judging, and introverted. But I'm not always introverted because my ADHD also makes me extroverted. Like when I say there's dualities in me, I can be introverted, extroverted, depending on. It's crazy, and it's tiring and uh, like just going in crowds sometimes is. I can do it, but you know what? I need like 2 3 days after that to just recover. It's that bad. Okay, so this is where we move into action here. This is where I'm telling you about what light and shadow is all about. Now that you know my backstory, now that you see that I've been through hell and back a few times, a special menu item in the cafeteria, and they call me sir. Um, so what I did after I got ghosted was that I picked myself up and I started learning. So I'm autistic. I love learning. I learned everything I could about the cluster B personality disorders. Everything. And that's where I discovered Carl Jung. Carl Jung was a psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, I don't know, psycho something. And he, the one that did the groundwork on narcissism and empath. Did you know that narcissist goes after empath? I am an empath. I know that. I'm also very intuitive. I know that. When an empath survives narcissistic abuse, they become super empath, or what they call today a dark empath. And I'll tell you how I came around that. So I dove deep in his teaching because I felt it related to my personal experience. And through this and what I've learned before, I proceeded to take days to review my entire life, just like I put it out there earlier, more in detail. And take note when I realized I had trauma. After that, I spent the entire Labor Day long weekend in introspection. The entire long weekend in my lazy boy in introspection. Introspection means that I look at my trauma from every angle, from the child angle, from my adult me angle, from the adults that were around me, from my siblings angle, every angle, so that I could understand it. Once I understood it, the next thing I had to do was come to terms with me, forgiving myself. By the time I seen the red flags and I didn't do anything about it, by the time I deemed myself too lazy to do something for so many things. Okay. And I spent several days doing that. And then one day, when I think it was like 3:30 in the afternoon, September 12th, I broke down. I had finally forgiven myself. And oh my God, that was. Uh, After I recovered, something changed. Something changed in me. And that's when the teaching of Carl Jung came back to my mind. And he said, when the empath goes from empath to super empath, it happened extremely quickly. And that's what happened. And I'll tell you about empath later on, but right now. Uh, once I did that, once I cracked that barrier, something inside of me changed. Because I had forgotten myself. And because I had started loving myself again. The emotions that I always struggled with, and let me give you an example. If emotions were booked, so the room in my head that where all the emotions is held, the books were on the floor, they were everywhere. After that, the books were all in bookshelves. No, arranged with my titles. I knew exactly where each one of my emotion is now. It's crazy. It's crazy. Uh, Going back to the introspection, the one thing I want to say about that is that when you do that, and when you try to apologize to yourself, you have to be sincere. You really have to be sincere with yourself. If you're not, it's not going to work. You have to be dedicated doing it and sincere. And I did mine in semi isolation because that's what I need. It's a very hard process because it makes you comes face to face with yourself. It makes with your truth, with your shadows, with your light, and that can be very, very uncomfortable. After I forgave myself, it actually helped me embrace my darkness. And how I went about that, the shadow work itself, is I went back to my childhood wound, and I took him one at a time. And I went to a mirror, whether it was in the bathroom or the dresser mirror in my bedroom. And I talked to myself. I talked to that little boy inside of me. And I reassured him. And I apologized that he went through all that. I apologized that he was neglected. I apologized that he didn't have a voice. I apologized that he got hurt all the time because there was not much supervision back then. We were pretty feral. Uh, uh, anyway, talking to myself in the mirror and really reaching my inner child and listening to what that little boy had to say and comforting him, telling him, hey, listen, it turned out good. Look what you become. And I did that for every single one of my childhood wounds. It took me a couple of weeks. After all that, and after I embraced my dark side too, like your shadows are the stuff about you that you don't like. And I don't mean the physical stuff, the stuff inside your mind. The jealousy, the hate, all the negative feelings that we all have. And sometimes we have them more than others, and others have them less than us, or vice versa. These are things that we don't really accept about ourselves. They're things that, we found icky about ourselves, but they're part of us. And I promise you that if you embrace your dark side or your shadows, as for me, it was making peace with my shadows allowed me to better control them. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I was able to better control my dark side. And I have a dark side. But yeah. And that's when I started feeling so much better about myself and asking questions and getting answers for the first time in my life. And I leveled up and I leveled up and I leveled up and I grew. I was talking with my psychologist this week, and I was telling her all the changes that happened because I see her every few weeks lately. And she was just amazed at all the leveling I've been doing. And you know what? In the last 2 years, my leveling was steady. It was like, a nice incline. And now it's like up there, going up. And it's helping me be a better person. It's helping me be here and share a message with you. Ah, you create your life every single second with your thoughts and work, your energy, your story about yourself. It's not insane in that we all have an ability to manifest. And people think manifestation is like magic. No. Manifestation is a change of mindset. Like you create every second of your life, you create. People are saying that you are trying to follow the path. You are the path. You are the divine. We're all like that. And if you change your mindset just a little bit, you'll find that new possibilities arise. It's not magic. It's changing how you think. Let's see. All right. So that was the shadow work. This is what I did to conquer my shadows, to conquer my trauma, to become a better person, a much better, well-rounded adult. The one that doesn't use his physical size to impose on others because he was bullied all his, and that was my way of defending myself. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not looking for validation in others. There's a lot of things that I stop doing or do better because I did the work on myself. Anyway, so that's the shadow part. Light part. See, the light part is easy. That's what we like about us. It's our flame. It's our internal flame. It's our soul. It's love. That's easy to handle. But the thing is, people don't realize that you can make your light brighter. Remember what I said earlier? I took a look around the world and I didn't like what I said. So much hate, so much greed, so much of you name it. What if we can shine our light brighter? What if we can start a movement that's going to dispel the darkness? And all we have to do is show love. When was the last time you helped somebody in need? When was the last time you helped your neighbor because they had something, I don't know, they're struggling with something? When was the last time you took 5 minutes, 10 minutes to help a stranger? Let me tell you what it does when you do that. When you share your light, when you share your love, when you help somebody, that makes their light brighter. And you would think that because you gave part of that love to that person, that you have a little less, but that's the complete opposite. You have more. You have more. And by spreading your light, you feed your flames. You feed somebody else's flame. And if that person sees that, realize that, and they feel good about it, and they spread their light too, guess what? Let me ask you a question. What if you lost your ability to communicate tomorrow? What would you say today? And who would you say it to? And what would you say? Would you be mad? I guarantee you would. You would open up. What if you knew you had one more day to live? Would you spend that day hating people or loving people? What if you could remove your early years growing up? What would you remove? And how would that change you? Doing our inner work and finding our flames is important because we live in a world right now where darkness is starting to take over. And if we don't shine, each and every one of us, if we don't show that we care for each other, if we don't lead ourselves to a better tomorrow, be the leader. Be your own leader. Lead your family, lead your friend, lead yourself to a better tomorrow. And that's the only way you can do that is by spreading your love. Let's stop spewing hate. That's exhausting. Love is not. Love is easy. Hating is exhausting. God, why would you do that? Be the light in other people's life. Spread your light. I want this movement to go viral. I want this to go around the world. What did I went to let's see an example. I went to see a movie last weekend. And that movie was Soul on Fire. Now, without telling you the movie details or whatever, when I looked at the trailer for that movie before I went, there was a saying at the end of the trailer, and it said, "There is no weapons on earth more powerful than a soul on fire." Let me say that again. There is no weapons more powerful on earth than a soul on fire. And the thing is, with love, you don't have to fight. You just love. Some people will accept it. Some people won't. Just don't stop doing it. Teach your children what love is really about. Be open. Lead your family in love. Lead your neighbors with love. Lead your work. Just do it all in love. It's easy. If I can do it, anybody else can do it. And only by spreading love will we start dissipating the shadows in our life. I'm trying to get a quote there. Authenticity is the cheat code to life. Be you, all of you, and never be ashamed of that. Anyway, that's the part of light, and that's the part that I want you guys to spread. We only have 15 minutes or so. I don't want to go over an hour. The last thing I want to talk about is something about men's health. When I was doing my research with ASD, I found that people with ASD are 9 times more likely to commit suicide. It's a big number. So I started looking at that, and I started looking at the statistics, and I came to Stats Canada website, 2022, and the numbers are similar today. Of all the suicides in Canada, every one of them, 75% of those, 75% are adult male. What does that tell you? That's alarming. That's alarming. And you know what? I took a look at that from my perspective again, of course. And society has a big role to play. Society dictates how men will act, how women will act, it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. Why can't men show their feelings? I remember when I was a kid, my father told me. I think I was 8. Boys don't cry, men don't cry, men don't show feelings. And I did the same thing to my son, dumbass that I am. Now I know better, and I know my son won't do that. We're taught to be a certain thing, a certain way. And the thing is, I'm proud for all the men out there who actually show their emotion. I'm proud of you. You make the world a better place. Of all of my brothers out there who are still under the old spell or whatever you want to call it, learning to use your emotions will make you a better man, not the other way around. Be a better person. Learn your feelings, express them. Talk to your spouse. Express yourself. It's important. When we keep stuff inside of us, it's like 75%. Where do you think that comes from? Hello? If men are unable to express their feeling, guess what's going to happen? Brothers, you need to stop doing this. You need to start living life and using your feelings. We all have them. Men are not born with less feelings or more feelings than anybody else. Okay? Use them. Don't be afraid to use them. The thing is, there's been a lot of research on that, and I put a few things there, and what we're doing with that is detrimental to society, and it's a detrimental outcome of a traditional gender expectation, and that's gotta stop. That's gotta stop. Doesn't matter who you are, what you do. Be you. Be the real you. Don't be what society wants you to be. That's not you. You're gonna be stuck like that in your entire life. Stop doing that. Uh, there was two doctors that published a paper, Dr. DiBianca and Dr. Mahalik, in American Psychologists, and they address the harmful socialization of boys and men, and argue that societal expectation of traditional masculinity contributes to health issue, relational oppression, relational oppression, sorry, and social injustices, and anger. If you're not able to express your feeling, you're going to be fucking angry. Trust me, I know. That's why I'm doing this. Stop. Stop thinking that emoting it makes you less. What's wrong with you? Wake up. Just wake up. Use what God gave you. Use your feeling. Use your light. Be a better person. Stop the hate. It's not getting you anywhere. It's making you sick. And it's at some point it's getting so bad that we have a word for toxic masculinity. And now every time one of us gets angry, well, that's how we get labeled. You're toxic. No. We're labeled toxic because there are a lot of toxic guys out there. Take charge of yourself. Reevaluate your life. Think where you're at right now. Do you want to do better in life? That's the only way you're going to do better. That's the only way you're going to raise a healthy family. That's the only way that you're going to lead yourself to a better tomorrow. And the other thing that type of thinking leads to is domestic violence. Here in Nova Scotia, there's an epidemic. It's getting. Why? I just spent 5 minutes on it. I'm convinced of it. Let's do better. Each and every one of us. Ladies, if you have a man in your life that doesn't show emotion, talk with that person gently. We have feelings. It's scary for us to use our feelings at first because we were told all our life that if we use our feelings, we're less. The stories we tell ourselves, right? Anyway, I'm getting close to the hour mark here, so I'm going to thank each and every one of you for watching this podcast tonight. And you know what? If you like and if you resonate with what you heard today, just drop me a line, message, whatever. Spread the light. Be the light. Be the leader in your group, in your family, work. Spread the light. I want to thank you guys for being there, and I'm looking forward to meet you again next Friday. Until then, have a good week. Spread the light.